Very good, thank you. Mouth scratches, healing system. I got to go to a physical therapist yesterday.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests.
Yeah, 4 times a day.
See you all this morning. My name is Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. To lead us to do the invocation this morning is Liz Ramsey.
Good morning. Let us pray. My prayer is that we all keep in contact with the Sutphin family to comfort and encourage them, Louise, Susie, Ann, Mary, and Jamie, not only for the Sutphins, but for others who have lost loved ones. Chris Barker would be one. We are grateful, God, for the sunshine, the birds, and the greenery surrounding us. We are grateful to be blessed with our families and to be able to live in the United States. Lord, let us clothe ourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with each other and forgiving whatever grievances we may have against one another. Let us forgive as the Lord forgave you, and over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. We give thanks to you, God, the Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Liz. To lead us in the four-way test and the pledge this morning, James Field.
First the pledge.
I pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the four-way test. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
and fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, James. Glad to see that I couldn't confuse you by switching the order. And lead us in song, Dick Pearsall.
Well, it's Memorial Day coming up. I tried to dress up as close as I could to Jimmy Sutton. I don't have the hat or everything, but I thought it would be a good time to sing the Star Spangled Banner. And it's very important you start on the right note because the high notes get away from you. So I got to use my pitch pipe.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight and the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs were streaming in air, came through the night, glad our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Here it comes. O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I love it. That can be fun.
That was done pretty well with the slideshow going on here with all kinds of different words.
His own words.
Tom, they broke the mold.
And our president, Allison Peaster.
Thanks, Ron. Good morning, Rotarians. We're ready to get started. We've got a lot to do. We've got a lot of guests. Chris, would you like to introduce them?
Before we get started, if anyone lost any keys, it was found on the floor. Just over here. Just over there. And one of the keys has 42 written on it, so if that helps anyone claim them. Larry, are they yours? Okay. Keys, 42. Okay, well, we have a lot of guests with us today. I mean, so it's only fitting that we would have such a wonderful song this morning. It's so much fun. But if you would please stand up when I announce your name. We have Sherry Sanger from Penske. She is our speaker today. And then we have Martha Lambert, Father Joe's assistant. I bet she has a lot of good stories she can share with us. Just saying. Just saying.
Good morning.
And then we have George Schmutz, owner of Printing Concept, a guest of Rich Warfield. Then we have Elizabeth Kwolek, a guest of Allison's. And then once again joining us, we have Dominic DiGeronimo helping us out on AV from the Hudson Service Learning class. And also from Hudson Service Learning, we have Lonnie Banner, Jamie Cosman, Anna Satterley.
Good morning.
And then Duncan Tanner. Joining us from Florida, thank you. And then another guest of Allison's, Mark Salem from State Farm. Thank you. And then we have Lynn Zupp, a guest of Liz Ramsey. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
I'm going to put Elizabeth on the spot. I want you to learn how she first came acquainted with us. Elizabeth?
So this is actually kind of a funny story. I had recently, this was 2 years ago, I was looking for a place to get my son to see Santa Claus because, well, he was 8 days old. Didn't want to bring him to a mall Santa because I didn't want all the germs and everything. And we had just purchased our house in the beginning of December in Hudson, and we hadn't moved in yet. So as we were looking for things to do, living in the Streetsboro area for the time being, we were like, okay, well, we got to find some sort of Santa. Somebody's got to be doing something. I was involved in Interact through all of my high school years, which I know I look young, but it's actually quite a few years ago now. And we saw that the Rotary was putting on the Santa on the Green. And so we made sure that we got over there, and we actually didn't know that you had to have a ticket. So I believe I went up to Allison, and there was another gentleman, and I apologize, I don't remember who that was at the moment. But I had asked if maybe we could get my 8-day-old son to see Santa Claus. So that's how I got introduced to the Rotary in Hudson, and I would be very interested in getting involved with the Rotary.
And she came back last year with your son as well, right, for Santa? Well, we had Jimmy's funeral on Monday, and it was a fabulous event. It was like going to Sunday Mass at St. Mary's. 5 priests, no less, never heard of that. And the rain held off until after we were driving home from the lunch at Blue Canyon, so it was typical Jimmy. And Mark Salem, you're back because of Jimmy, right? You knew him well and his enthusiasm and passion, so we welcome you back. Good. Who's making a difference?
We are.
And I'm going to have John Hairston talk to you about how Rotarians made a difference last Saturday at their Rotary Days project.
Good morning, Rotarians. Could I have all of you just stand up and clap? And I'll tell you why. Let's stand up and clap. Okay, you can sit down. And the reason why I wanted you to do that is because I am so proud of the students from Service Learning, from Hudson High School, that showed up Saturday morning and worked and mulched the yard that we mulched. We spread 15 yards of mulch. And not only that, the yard was in just horrific condition. So we had to mow the lawn, we had to pull weeds, we had to pull trees. These kids were just phenomenal. And I'm so proud that they were there and helped us. And the owner of the house came out and thanked the students. And you just have to be proud of the students from Hudson High School. They did a tremendous job, and I'm so grateful. I'm actually going to take 5 of the students out to dinner myself because of the way they conducted themselves, and that just didn't complain. And it was very difficult work. And not only that, they had prom that evening, and they didn't even complain one bit about being late to it or needing to get home. So that was a tremendous, tremendous effort on their part, and we should be proud of them. And I will put a letter together to submit to Marty. Marty emailed me, who's in charge of service learning. Marty helped me get the students. I went to Hudson High School and met with the students also. So the Rotarians, honestly, you should be very proud of these students. And I'll get their names for everyone. And actually, Phil from the clock tower is going to be putting the article in the newspaper. I met with him, and we're going to really give notice to the students that showed up. And again, I would do it next year again.
Did you make note of that, Joe? All right. Ed Sogan?
Thanks.
I'm going to pass the sign-up sheet around for the Home and Garden Tour. I probably should be assigning 2 of them around, and one is to have Susie Sutton give eulogies for everybody. And I'm going to be first on that list. She did an outstanding job for her dad and for her family. It was tremendous. The Home and Garden Tour, again, is the major fundraiser for the Garden Club. It is an annual event that brings hundreds and hundreds of people into Hudson. They use our restaurants, go to our shops, tour the homes and tour the gardens. The Garden Club, if you look around First and Main Street, the beautiful plantings around the flagpole, the clock tower green, are all provided by the Garden Club, and it would be great if people could sign up. This is for traffic control and parking. It's a 2.5-hour gig. We need your bubbling personalities to help people find parking spots and to get them into the houses and around the gardens. It's a nice opportunity, again, to mix with people from our town and also the surrounding area. It is, again, the biggest event in regards to the Garden Club, and I have a sign-up sheet for the times that are available. If you put down your name, your phone number, email address, then either Todd Zedak, Phil Makita, or Tom James will be getting in contact with you to confirm your arrival and location for this duty. It's on the 11th and 12th of June, and again, it's their big event, just like our gala, so appreciate your support. Thanks.
Thanks, Ed. Rich Warfield asked me to remind you that Camp Manitowoc annual pool cleanup is May 23rd, Saturday, from 8:30 to 12:30 with good food after.
There'll be coffee and donuts in the morning at 8 o'clock.
Coffee and donuts in the morning,
And then there'll be a cooked lunch for us.
cooked lunch after. How can you resist?
And we have 5 people right now, we could use 1 more.
So anybody, they're looking for one more person, and as Ron said, it's always women's work. So if we do have any ladies who'd like to sign up, we don't know, Ron. But I think it's in the record on the board meeting. All righty. John?
I would be remiss if I didn't mention Ed. Ed and I were on the wheelbarrow duty.
Ed, you were on wheelbarrow duty?
Yes, and we wheelbarrowed all that long, so.
Yes, congratulations, well done. At the Rotary Board meeting last week, we were pleased to announce Liz Ramsey is going to do publicity, so it's very apropos that you're here, Duncan, so you can give any tips to Liz that you might have. And Ed Sogan and Catherine Sines are going to co-chair the dictionary project, buying dictionaries for our 3rd graders. That was one of Jimmy's favorite projects. So, service learning, Lonnie Banner, yes? I was going to announce it at the end, but it's okay. We have a foundation board meeting right after this meeting in the board room. Lonnie?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So happy to see you. I just want to thank you for a great year. Actually, tomorrow is Anna and Dominic's last day of high school. Next week at our service learning luncheon, we're going to be celebrating the 2 of them and our entire class, and they were able to do over 13,000 hours of service in 1 year from our 65 students. If you're interested, we'd love to have you at our luncheon, and if you could just let myself or Gail or Jamie know, that would be great. It's next Wednesday from 12 to 2. The students are doing all of the cooking. You've been a tremendous part of all of our lives, and we'd love to be able to honor you as well. But anyways, I'm here to introduce two fantastic service learning students, Anna and Dominic. Dominic's going to be going to Kentucky next year, and Anna's going to be going to Miami, and they're going to tell you a little bit about their service this past semester. So, Anna?
Good morning.
Good morning, Anna.
All right, so I'm Anna, and I'm going to Miami next year, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to study pre-med, and I really didn't know what I was going to do to study in school, but I'm at Akron Children's Hospital this semester volunteering, and it has been a wonderful experience. I get to work on the 6th floor, which is all pediatrics, and sometimes the 7th floor, which is all the babies, and it is so much fun. I absolutely love it. And I know the past 3 weeks I've been going, there's this one little boy who's been there every single week. And I went in there and his parents weren't there, he was all alone. And the first week I went in, he wouldn't talk to me. So we just kind of sat and watched TV together. And then the second week I went in and I brought coloring books and games and we kind of just played the games together. And then the third week, he actually started talking to me, and he was the one teaching me how to play card games. So that was just amazing, and it made me realize like how much of a difference I can make just by volunteering and donating my time at Akron Children's, and I absolutely love it. It makes me so happy to know that I was able to like bring a little bit of positivity to their day, because I know how hard it can be being in the hospital for all of them, and they're such strong kids, and I absolutely love seeing them every week, and I really hope I get to work somewhere as awesome as Akron Children's in the future. And I'm just so grateful for service learning to have had this opportunity, because it really makes me feel like I've had real world experience and it has best prepared me for college. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Dom. I'm the technical guy. And, good morning, I apologize.
Yeah. Good morning.
I'm the technical guy, yeah. As Ms. Banner said, I'm going to the University of Kentucky in the fall. I'm planning on studying, majoring in education and with a minor in American history. I'd like to be a history teacher, preferably for post-secondary, high school and college, but I mean, I don't know, I mean, taking where the wind blows. Or go with the wind, there we go. It's still too early. I have the fortunate and honor and privilege at serving at the Akron Valor Home, which is a transitional home for homeless veterans in Akron. I work with Mike Seaman. He is a great guy. At first, I used to cook and help clean. I used to work with the head cook there only on Wednesdays all day, just to help, help meals and prepare food for the guys there. Obviously, with my, bum leg, now I'm just sitting doing office work, answering phone calls and stuff. But I mean, it's really. I've had a long family history in the military forces, and for the longest time when I was little, I wanted to, be in the Navy, and I mean, I still, still may. It's definitely, I don't know, it's eye-opening. I mean, for, how much they give and what they do, and, I mean, yeah, they give their lives, and how much, I mean, I wish I could do more, honestly, just to help our veterans. I mean, I know it's something small, and it's awesome, I mean, but, I mean, after all they give to us and what they do, I mean, this is, something small, and I know there's plenty more out there. I mean, I know I come in every week, I see new faces in there, which is amazing, because it means, we're doing something good, we're helping them, we're getting them back on their feet, we're putting them in a house, or helping them with whatever situations they may be. They're all different. I mean, I've heard 1,000,001, but, I mean, I wish we could do more, and, I mean, I would thank, Ms. Banner, Mr. Cosman, Mr. Bach, for, I mean, all the amazing life tips, and just help getting me through, because I know it's been, at first I was kind of just scared, with a bunch of, 30, older gentlemen that, all have combat experience. I'm just a little senior, yeah. Yeah. I don't know, it was nervous, but they helped me get through it, and I don't know, it's just, I wish we could just, do more, and I'm very thankful for service learning. They've done, Ms. Banner, Mr. Bach, Cosman, they've all helped me just in many ways that I can never thank them enough for what they've done. And obviously, yeah, that's it.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Are you going to the football school or the academic school?
Basketball partner.
I'm talking about Miami.
It's not the football school.
They play hockey there.
Play hockey.
I don't play hockey though.
Over there.
Where did you say you volunteered at?
The Summit County Akron Valor Home.
Akron?
Akron Valor Home.
Here, let me. So tell me, the Akron Valor Home, what are they doing then? They're.
It's a transitional housing facility.
Microphone, please. Thank you.
New guy. It's a transitional house for homeless veterans that have, I don't know, drug and related issues, almost like bottom of the barrel guys. And Mike and his staff there help take them off the streets. Just clean them up. Do as much as they can to help them. This is your problem. This is what we're gonna do to get you fixed, and get them back clean.
What sort of age range would you say?
We have one guy who's in his mid-90s. We call him the General. He's just been there. But I mean, it varies. I mean, there's some young guys. I mean, I know that just got out that are like in their late 20s, and we have guys that, I mean, there's no real age range. I mean, 40s and up. I mean, just everyone's in there. It's
Well, thank you so much. We really
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Lonnie. Thank you. All righty, we're ready for the orphan auction. All right, Ron Strobel.
Anybody want to buy an orphan?
How much?
Hey, Royce. Always like to keep people.
All right, we don't have much this year, thank heavens. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, so if you want it, you better holler quick, or it's going to be somebody else's. Who would like to have a week at Safety Town for their grandchild, or their child, if they have a child of that age? $20, 1 week at Safety Town.
Yay, Mark.
Okay. Any other bids? Come on, he's got more money. No. Okay, $20. Thanks, Mark. And Joe Avello will take your money, or your name, or credit card. We have a t-shirt and 1 month family membership at Snap Fitness. Do I hear any bids on that? Who needs to go to Snap Fitness? I could probably. No, I won't.
Thank you, Ron.
Let's see, what size is the t-shirt? Maybe it's worth that just for the t-shirt.
You get donuts with that?
You do? Yeah, there's free donuts every morning at Snap Fitness. And it's a large t-shirt. Nobody wants it? Put it in the box. It's going somewhere. I know who's going to bid on this one, so who will give $100 for a complimentary ticket package for 2 to all of the Hudson High School Prime events. Includes the fall play, the children's play, the spring musical, and other high school events, non-athletic. Who will give $50? Nobody wants this for $20? There's 20, 30? $20. Tom Tobin. We have from the Sharp Law Offices, this is complimentary initial estate planning conference, or a current Ohio statutory living will and healthcare power of attorney, whichever one you choose. Is anybody interested in that? This is with the Sharp Law Offices. How much? $20. $20.
Over
30. 40. 50.
He's a good attorney.
Got 50 over here. Going once. That's all. $50.
All right.
And we have a, this is from the Sandler Training Center, and this is, you either get a 2-day boot camp training session or 6 weeks, I think it's 6 weeks of sales training. That's the first thing I thought of. Sandler Training from the Ruby Group, and they're in Cuyahoga Falls on Front Street. Anyone interested in going to sales training, an intense sales training course?
$50.
$50. Anybody else? Somebody told me you wanted this.
Well, I've been through it, so
Oh.
I don't need it.
You don't need a refresher. $50 to Allison.
It's worth it. I mean, it's a good trade.
This is, I don't know, you want to hold this up? You might not. I was going to say you might not.
Oh, yeah.
Looks good.
You could do any number of things with this. It's a Chinese table runner. Yes, our model here is showing the various things you could do with it. Does anybody
$10.
want to bid?
$10.
$10. Anybody else?
Looks like Lonnie.
Matches her hair. It's definitely a lot of things.
I can definitely see Lonnie doing something with that. You've got it. Thank you.
Nice. Nice.
And that's it, unless somebody wants the, oh yeah,
What'd you do
unless
with
somebody wants the t-shirt.
What'd you do with the orthodontia?
The orthodontia package did sell after the auction. Yeah, somebody bought it for their grandchild. Yeah. Thank you.
And while you're still up, do you want to introduce our speaker?
Are we passing this around? Oh, okay. Somebody wants to look at it?
Good morning. Good morning. It's my privilege to introduce our speaker this morning, Sherry Sanger. She's the Vice President of Marketing for Penske Truck Leasing. She's responsible for the company's global marketing functions, which include strategic marketing, promotional activities, market research, and interactive marketing for Penske Truck Leasing, Penske Truck Rental, logistics, and used trucks. Prior to becoming the Senior Vice President in 2012, she served as the company's Vice President of Marketing since 2004 and has been with Penske since 1998. She began her career with General Electric's Lighting and Capital Divisions in their financial management program. And while she was with GE, she worked in financial, cost, and marketing roles both in the United States and Germany. She's active in her community and serves on the board of directors for the Opportunity House in Reading, Pennsylvania, where she lives, and is a founding member of the Penske Diversity Council and the Penske Women's Network. She's been actively involved in women's leadership initiatives with the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce and is a member of the American Marketing Association, Brand 50, the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals, and the Conference Board. She holds a bachelor's degree in German from Kent State University and has earned a master's degree in international management from the Thunderbird School of Global Management and also an MBA from Case Western Reserve University. She's currently pursuing a doctorate in management also at Case. So she's got a whole lot more brains than anybody else around here. She resides in Sinking Springs, Pennsylvania with her husband Tim and 2 children. More importantly, she's a daughter of Martha, my assistant. She is a graduate of Hudson High School. And the maker of the best oatmeal cookies you have ever tasted in your life.
Now we're talking.
Please welcome Sherry Sanger.
All right.
Go ahead.
Wow, what a nice introduction. It's so nice to be back, and good morning, Rotarians. This is actually my first Rotary meeting.
Good morning.
So it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I can see you have a lot of fun on Wednesday mornings.
Yes.
So I can see I've been missing out. Father Joe offered to connect me in Reading with our local Rotarians. But it's so great to be here and to be back in Hudson. It's always a privilege to come back and visit Mom. But we moved around a lot growing up. We moved roughly every 2 years, all over the Midwest. Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Kansas for a couple of years right before moving to Hudson. That was culture shock. In Kansas we were super casual and so on. And when I hit Hudson High School in 1983, Ed Sogan's laughing. He knows what I'm talking about. It was a bit of an adjustment. But my dad got transferred a lot. Just moving through the corporate world as he did, or at least that's what they told me. I'm assuming they weren't hippies or vagabonds or something like that. But I don't know, Mom works with Father Joe now, so it must be fairly legit, some of the things that she's done over the years. But anyway, we moved to Hudson in 8th grade and ended up staying there for my entire high school career. So I spent all 4 years at Hudson High, which was the longest I lived anywhere at that point in time. And part of it might have been due to teenage girl dramatics, where I essentially said, my life's going to be over if you guys make me move again, especially during high school. I like to give myself credit that I think they actually liked it in Northeast Ohio because they ended up staying, and Mom is still here. So anyway, Hudson is certainly a special place for me. Today I live in Reading, Pennsylvania, as Father Joe said. I have the great fortune of working for a great organization. I work at the Penske organization, and I brought a couple of images for you. If you don't know Penske, some of you might be familiar with our race team. So we have the winningest, if that's a word, IndyCar team in history. And so if you'd like to check out the Indy 500, you'll see a couple of our drivers racing this coming weekend. You might also be familiar with our truck rental business. You might see the yellow trucks that run up and down the road. You might have rented one in the past to help somebody move or to move yourself. But the bigger part of our business is actually the business-to-business side, so helping companies with their transportation and supply chain and logistics needs. So we rent trucks to companies, we lease them trucks, and sometimes we manage all of their transportation and warehousing and supply chain activities. And that's the bigger part of my responsibility is marketing that part of our organization. It makes up about 94% of our revenue. So the smallest part, the consumer part, is the most visible part, but it's not the bigger part of our business. So the really interesting question is, how did that happen? I think, when I think back on that, just yesterday I was running over at Hudson Springs Park, which is something I like to do. I was a cross-country runner and track runner when I was at Hudson, so it's always fun to go to my home course. And for exactly the same amount of time that I run, I don't run as far somehow. It happens over the years, I guess, but I still get out there. But as I was reflecting on what I'd like to talk to you about this morning, I realized that my career path wasn't entirely linear. It wasn't that I sort of set this goal that I'm going to, become this leader of marketing for a transportation and logistics company. Believe it or not, it's not something I envisioned as a little girl, or even as a student in high school, or even in college as somebody who majored in German, of all things, to end up working for a company that has to do with trucks and transportation. And so certainly offer that to Dom and Anna. Sometimes you don't know where your path is going to lead you, and it's good to be open or go wherever the wind blows if that's the case. But I had a lot of ideas though about what I wanted to do, and I'll share a couple of those with you, and my mom can certainly add to more because I had a lot of ideas about what I wanted to do. But early on, I was pretty sure I wanted to become a pilot. I was fascinated with the idea of flying. And we actually had a teacher at the high school that taught flying lessons on the side, Mr. J. Kell, and so a lot of us were fascinated with flying, I think, at that point in time. Also, Little Tikes was right down the road from where I lived, so I thought it might be really cool to be a toy designer. And I loved running, so of course the attraction to Nike at the time, which was really a big brand, and the idea of moving to Oregon sounded quite fascinating to me as well. So things weren't exactly how I envisioned them, but it's interesting, I think back on the choices that I made and some of the different things that I ended up doing, somehow it all ends up connecting later. And a lot of times that connects later with hindsight versus foresight. And so that's what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today, is just the idea of being open to opportunities as they set forth in front of you. And sometimes you have to adjust your path along the way as new opportunities become available. So, kind of like the path at Hudson Springs Park, career paths are often windy and have a lot of twists and turns along the way and aren't exactly linear. So I'd like to share some of those moments in my career that really ended up being defining that maybe I didn't realize at the time. And the first was actually going to Germany between my junior and senior year of high school. So I took 4 years of German in high school with Mr. Windsor. I don't know if some of you might know Roland Windsor, but he was a force in my life in many ways, which most of you know. If you know him, that's just how he is. But he encouraged me to go overseas between my junior and senior year, and he ran an exchange program. And people usually stay for 4 weeks or so, but he thought I should go for the entire summer. And naively, I thought, oh, that sounds like an interesting idea. And so I went. Ended up being a really neat experience for me, and ended up being something that I came back to over and over again throughout the years, which was pretty cool. Then, it was time to look for colleges, and so I started thinking about college. And like Anna said, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to study. I entered school at Bowling Green Pre-Med, and you can see how well that worked out for me. Honestly, though, you've done more related to actually volunteering in a hospital than I did. I just thought it sounded like a cool idea at the time, and I had decent grades. But it turns out there's a lot more to thinking about a career. And even when I looked at colleges, I was probably a little bit naive in my choices, and I remember a lot of visits with my dad to various schools, including his alma mater, Muskingum College, and places like Grove City that, by the way, had like segregated guy-girl dorms, and my dad thought that was a grand place. Not so much. But what I looked at in colleges is I went and I looked at the track every time, and if it had a cinder track like at Little Muskingum College, it wasn't for me. So we don't always make the choices with the best rationale when we're at that age. But you guys have both picked fine schools, though, which is really cool. But I ended up at Bowling Green, ended up running cross country there, which was daunting, to be honest. The caliber of the competition was so much higher than what I had experienced in high school. And the goal of my first race was honestly to just not be last. Not to be dead last, and just to be maybe second to last, because those girls were super fast, but a great experience. But then my freshman year, I explored a lot of things. I ended up taking a ground school so that I could take flying lessons. I took photography class. I still finished on time, don't worry, I used my AP credits to explore, and that was the rule in our family. As long as you got out in 4 years, you could explore all you wanted. But the interesting thing that happened there at Bowling Green is also, I went into junior level German because I had so much in high school and had learned a lot in that summer abroad. And my German teacher, my freshman year, said, wow, you should go on this exchange program next year. We have a full scholarship to go to Germany for a year, and you could go for your sophomore year. And my mom and dad heard, wow, full scholarship, that sounds cool. I heard you're in Germany, that sounded really good. It was actually given to me by a German American Women's Club in Kassel, Germany, which was a wonderful experience, getting to know those ladies that provided the scholarship over the course of a year. And again, became this formative experience. So you can see Germany became an early on theme for me in my career. So then I ended up having a blast being able to see a lot of things in Europe, became fascinated by different cultures and just getting to know different kinds of people and things that happen in other parts of the world. Came back from Germany, and I actually transferred to Kent State and finished up at home. I had a brother and sister who were following me in school, and so I came home and commuted actually from Hudson my last 2 years and finished at Kent with a degree in German, not surprisingly, because I had a lot of credits racked up in German. So that's how I ended up deciding on my major. It's sort of a path that led me there. And they told me to major in what I loved and I was passionate about, German and Germany. And I had the sense to minor in business because, to be quite honest, the next thing became, oh, wow, I have to go get a job. And I went back to Germany, worked for an insurance company, did some translating work. And that didn't end up being as exciting as I thought being a translator was. I sat in a cube and I translated documents for most of the day. I ended up coming back to the US and decided to take the GMATs, did some translating while I was preparing for the GMAT exam, and ended up getting offered a scholarship from Case Western right away before I could even apply to other management schools. And so I ended up enrolling in an MBA program at Case Western in Cleveland. So many paths for me lead back to Northeast Ohio, as you can see over the years. Had a great experience at Case, and another interesting thing happened while I was at Case. Turns out about a year and a half in to my program at Case, where I was focusing on marketing and finance, I had an appreciation for finance and a love for marketing at the time. And about a year and a half in, they struck up a partnership with a university in Arizona called Thunderbird, that's an international management school. And my German teacher, Mr. Windsor, had talked about this school relentlessly when we were in high school. He said, if you ever get the chance, to go to Thunderbird, you should do that. And it's funny how that just fortuitously came up. They developed this partnership, and I and another student from the school embarked on this journey. We drove out to Arizona, and we spent essentially the last 8 months of our MBA program out in Arizona, which I left in January, and that was grand, leaving Northeast Ohio in January and going to sunny Arizona. By August, when I finished, I was ready to leave because it was 120 degrees and strikingly hot. So it was one of those opportunities, once again, that came up along the way that I didn't necessarily foresee. But for me personally, it tied together so much of my background beautifully. It tied together my interest in languages, my interest in other cultures, and allowed me to get both the business side and to understand business better, but to tie together that international piece. So I ended up with this master's in business and a master's in international management. And then I went to work for GE Lighting, which is headquartered, as many of you probably know, in Cleveland. They have an office that they call Neela Park up near Cleveland. And my first job with them was actually down in North Carolina. I went to work at one of their lighting plants down in North Carolina, joined their financial management program because I felt like I really needed to understand the language of business if I was going to work in businesses. And I thought this is something GE is really good at. And so I went down to North Carolina, worked on the factory floor with teams, which was an eye-opening experience for me, something I had never really experienced before, and had to work with them on how to take cost out of the manufacturing process. I had a great experience, great mentorship. And from there, I went back to Germany. GE asked me to go to Germany and to spend 6 months there in an expatriate assignment, working for a new business and helping set up some of the financial processes, the financial reporting. And so I went to Germany again, and then I came back to Neela Park, and I became the finance person for the marketing team. And so that's what started my transition back into marketing. I thought, this is great. This is the two things that I love, but I started to develop an even more of an affinity for the things that they were doing in marketing and wanted to be a part of that. So for my next role at GE, I transferred to GE Capital and moved to Devon, Pennsylvania, where I became a new business ventures analyst. So I worked on a new venture, which was a really nice role that straddled marketing and finance for me. And then, interestingly, after that assignment ended, about 6 months later, and that was kind of the mode at GE. You moved around a lot, as you can see, which wasn't a big shock considering how I grew up. But I started to feel like, gosh, I want to stay in one place now. I feel like I need to settle down a little bit. So I drew an hour radius around Philadelphia and looked at all the GE businesses in an hour radius and said, hey, I'd like to stick around here. And they helped me do that. And that's how I got introduced to Penske. Penske is partially owned by General Electric. It's owned by General Electric and Roger Penske. And so I ended up interviewing at that business for a job as a new product introduction manager in the marketing team. So again, kind of taking a new business kind of role and having it in marketing. And so that's how I got to Pennsylvania. And then interestingly, ended up staying in Pennsylvania with the Penske organization. So I've now been there for 17 years in various roles in marketing, have had lots of study opportunities, lots of growth opportunities. But what's kept me at that organization is passion for the customer. So our chairman, Roger Penske, is still relatively involved in the business, a very passionate person, but his philosophy in general is if you take care of customers, the rest follow, the profits follow, and so on. And that's something that our organization really believes. And when you work in marketing, having an organization that believes in serving customers and helping them win in their businesses and with what they're trying to do, it's a pretty powerful place to work. So that's what's kept me. And what's interesting and somewhat ironic is that's fairly unusual for marketing leaders. They tend to have short tenures. There's a lot of studies shown that they tend to last 2 to 3 years. They either get fired or they move. So luckily that hasn't happened so far, and I've really enjoyed the organization. So what's most interesting to me is here I've been this person that moved around a lot growing up my whole career, and now I've been in this this place in this organization for 17 years, even when the sort of the mode that's typical in my field is to make a lot of moves. So you never know where life takes you, and so I started out thinking I was going to become a medical doctor, right? And I've ended up pursuing becoming a doctor of another variety. So not the kind that actually helps people, not that saves people, not the evil variety like Dr. Evil here, but rather the management variety. And maybe that helps in some way, shape, or form. But I just wanted to share a little bit with you about that last leg of my journey in my career. So I decided to go back to Case Western to pursue a PhD. And what I was looking for was that injection of learning again. As you've noticed from my path, I like learning. And I had been, at the time when I started this, I'd been at Penske for 10 years, and I felt like I want to still learn, I want to still grow, but I didn't want to change organizations because I loved the organization I was working for. I had a family, I liked the area I was living in, and so I pursued a part-time doctoral program. And so I looked into all the programs that are part-time or residency-based, and Case had started the first residency-based program where you go in for essentially a long weekend once a month, and they seemed pretty good at it, and so I came back to Case and did that program there. And I've been at it for 5 years now, which has been great because I get to see my mom a lot, because I would come in and go to Case for a long weekend and visit with her. And now I'm close to the finish line working on my research. And what's been really interesting is the research that I decided to focus on has a lot to do with some things from my past and some things that I'm interested in. And I just wanted to conclude by sharing that with you. I'm interested in how do people make their decisions? How do they make these decisions? As a marketing leader, a big part of my job is how do I look for opportunities for the organization? And when you think about the world of business, a lot of times companies miss it, and that gets a lot of popular business press for sure. We all heard the story of Kodak, or some of these organizations that everybody says, wow, how did they miss this big shift in their industry? And I think the answer is it's not always easy when you're on the inside and when you have a lot of deep experience in an area. So I became fascinated with this idea of when you have a lot of longevity in a place, and my tenure at 17 years is pretty junior at Penske. There are 25, 30-year employees and so on. So I became fascinated with this idea of, how do you make sure you don't get entrenched in your thinking? There's a lot of research that shows as you build experience throughout your career, your focus can narrow. And so how do you kind of continue to open yourself up to new ideas? And how do you open yourself up to new experiences? And so the focus of my research is around how can you start to disrupt yourself? What are the things that you can do that help you stay open to new ideas? And as you can tell from my story, it's a big part of my past. I think I wandered into some of those things and was just open to opportunities, possibly along the way, that led me to a really interesting place that I never thought I would be. Again, I never thought I would work with trucks and transportation, but it's been an extremely rewarding career so far, and now I'd like to try and figure out what are some of those things that we can do to help ourselves. And so I'd just like to wrap up by showing you a quick video. A lot of times at Penske we like to do research, most marketers do, try and understand perspectives of customers and people. And so we did this video where we decided to take a different look at things. And you know how the little people in your house, whether they're grandchildren or your own children, often have a very different perspective? Well, we decided to put together a video where we asked a bunch of children whose parents work at Penske about what they think they do. And we asked them some ideas about, how do they think we could improve the business, and how could we improve the trucks and so on. And this is just a really quick, about a minute video that we'll take a look at. Maybe, right, Dom?
There we go.
That's it. Yeah, thank you.
Good job.
Ah.
get started.
Now you're getting audio. And if it doesn't work, that's fine.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, can I borrow a microphone while we?
Right here.
Oh, excuse me. You know, I just wanted to comment, it was nice to hear what you had to say about the impact that Roland Windsor's had on your life and career. I mean, he was I think probably my favorite teacher at Hudson High School as well, and it's nice to hear, you know, that credit given to these teachers that do such a fabulous job. So, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not sure that they always realize the impact that they have, and I'm not sure we do either at the time. Yeah.
Sure, you find any irony in the fact that when you finally settled down, you went to work for a moving company?
I hadn't thought about that. Good point.
Your mind works differently, doesn't it?
I can assure you, sometimes when I call my mom, let's just say we have no idea what goes on in that office. There's a lot of fun being had, though.
Always laughing.
What years did you attend Bowling Green again?
I was there in 1992 and 93. Mm-hmm.
I thought you said in the 80s.
All right. I'm sorry, I graduated from Hudson in 88, so yeah, I was there 88, 89.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have a trucking question. Why is there a shortage of truckers?
Well, truck drivers are aging, and so we have a lot of people retiring as truck drivers, and we don't have as many people coming in. So, as most of you know, more kids are going to college than ever, and so some of the vocational programs like that have suffered. So there's a lot of energy right now into how do we get people into those careers, because they're actually decent paying jobs.
So is that something Penske's, it sounds like it's a program that you're pursuing in terms of
We
trying
spend
to-
a lot of energy on how to source good talent for truck driving.
Great. I work in the retail industry and we're feeling a shortage of truckers.
Absolutely, yeah.
No video?
Well, it looks like our video didn't work, but I thank you for your time and attention and for the warm welcome this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was very well done and very interesting. All right, James, did you want to mention Relay for Life very quickly?
So, just a couple quick reminders. The relay is Saturday the 30th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. at La Valley Field. You can still donate. We have a wine basket. Certain retailers donate a whole bunch of wine for that, so we're good. But if you have any other bottles of wine laying around the house that maybe is not your preference. And I want to thank Catherine Signs, put together a really neat centerpiece floral arrangement, but it's artificial flowers, so that way you don't have to worry about it. Silk, yes, it's really beautiful. And so that goes to the survivors tent, and then those will be given away to the survivors. So thank you very much, Catherine, for that. So also we do have a dunk tank. So if you have a favorite, there is a school board member who will be dunked.
Good.
But if you have a favorite city council member who you'd like to put up there, just volunteer their name, and then we'll make sure they have to go in. Yeah. So I think we have three names already. So yeah. So if you're willing to do it, it's a lot of fun. Hopefully it'll be a hot day for the dunk tank. And also, if you're available to help operate the dunk tank, which is it's just a matter of collecting tickets and kind of putting people up there. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
And speaking of thank yous, I want to thank our greeters, Liz Ramsey and Den Rich. You're almost done. Our AV team are on Barnhouse, Tom Page, Larry Santon. Jeff Tong wasn't here, but he was here last week. Tom Tobin, Den Rich, John Hairston. Did I get everybody? It's so nice to have a long list of names to thank. The last thing I want to say is I have in this file some of the notes I got from Jimmy and pictures. So it's, and I'm just one person, and I think there's hundreds that he took the time, so thank you. Alrighty, next week is our Hudson High School Student Scholarship Program, right, Dan? He's not paying attention.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Thank you,
Yes, it is.
Catherine.
Thanks, Dan.
Always an uplifting and exciting program. Foundation board meeting, I mentioned it again. So now it's time for our drawing. Pick one out. Jackpot is $464 and the payout is $14. Yes.
1014405.
4405.
Early bird, 0.
Well, we have a winner.
Good.
Thunderous applause.
Yes, thunderous applause is right. I'm sure they mean you. There's your 14, and you see there's a black marble in there. All right, so.
All right, come on.
Oh, darn. Oops, we have to take it out. So, have a great week.